Game 1 set the tone for this series in a way nobody could have predicted. The defending champion Las Vegas Aces came into that matchup confident, rested, and fully expecting to steamroll a battered Indiana Fever squad. Caitlin Clark was out. 6 players were listed with injuries, and everything on paper suggested the Aces would cruise. But what happened inside that arena told a much different story. It became a battle of will, heart, and survival. And the Fever didn't just show up. They forced Las Vegas into a dogfight. From the opening tip, the whistles were the story. Every time the Fever tried to set up in the half-court, a whistle blew. Every time Aaliyah Boston banged bodies with A'ja Wilson in the paint, the officials inserted themselves into the game. The pattern was clear early. Las Vegas was being given the benefit of every call, and the Fever were expected to fight through it. Instead of folding, Kelsey Mitchell lit up the scoreboard with a blistering 34-point performance that nearly stole the game out from under the Aces. She hit contested jumpers, drove fearlessly, and played with the type of edge that reminded everyone why she's the engine of this Indiana team. Despite her brilliance, the free throw discrepancy loomed large. The Aces walked to the line over and over while the Fever were forced to earn everything in blood and sweat. That imbalance sealed the loss. But it also lit a fire heading into Game 2. When the teams reconvened, the Fever carried themselves differently. There was no intimidation, no hesitation. They knew they belonged, and they proved it possession after possession. Lexie Hull, playing with an injury that would sideline most players, delivered one of the gutsiest performances of the season. She buried 5 three-pointers, each one a dagger that silenced the Las Vegas crowd. On the defensive end, she dove for loose balls, took charges, chased guards around screens with a reckless disregard for her own body. By the end of the night, she was bruised, battered, but still standing. The very definition of toughness. Aaliyah Boston shouldered a brutal assignment all night long, going toe-to-toe with A'ja Wilson in the paint. Wilson, protected by the whistle, was gifted trip after trip to the line, padding her stats while Boston absorbed elbows, contact, and foul calls that seemed to defy logic. Yet Boston never flinched. She fought for position, battled for rebounds, and gave the Fever a physical presence they desperately needed. Every possession in the post was a war. And while the stat sheet may have tilted in Wilson's favor, the eye test told a different story. Boston made her work for everything. Then there was Odyssey Sims, a veteran presence who embodied poise under pressure. With Clark sidelined, the offense needed a steady hand to orchestrate possessions, and Sims delivered. Time and again, she dribbled through double teams, found shooters in the corners, and kept the Fever's attack organized when chaos threatened to consume them. Her leadership in those moments wasn't flashy, but it was essential. Without her, Indiana doesn't survive the Aces' defensive runs. The officiating, however, remained impossible to ignore. The whistles came in waves, each one cutting into the Fever's momentum. Every hard-fought stop was erased by a foul call, every basket overshadowed by the officials' constant intrusion. Fans watching at home, analysts, even former players, began questioning the legitimacy of what they were seeing. Was this basketball, or was it a predetermined showcase to protect the defending champions? The Fever, however, refused to use it as an excuse. They adjusted, fought through it, and clawed their way back possession after possession. By the fourth quarter of Game 2, it felt like both teams were teetering on the edge. Las Vegas leaned on their star power, pushing Wilson into isolation after isolation, daring the officials to keep bailing her out. Indiana leaned on grit. Lexie Hull's 5th three-pointer splashed through the net like a declaration: this team would not break. Mitchell attacked relentlessly. Boston continued absorbing punishment inside, and Sims calmed the storm. When the buzzer sounded, the Fever had done it. They had punched the defending champions square in the mouth and stolen Game 2 in Las Vegas. The aftermath was electric. Critics who had written the Fever off before the series suddenly found themselves scrambling to adjust their narratives. This wasn't a team limping into the playoffs. This was a squad that had been hardened by injuries, disrespect, and relentless pressure. The very things that were supposed to doom them had forged their identity. They weren't just competing with the Aces, they were exposing them. What made the victory even sweeter was the way it was earned. This wasn't a hot shooting night from one star carrying the load. It was collective. Mitchell's scoring was undeniable, but Hull's courage, Boston's resilience, Sims' composure all fed into the win. Even role players who didn't light up the box score played their part. Rotating on defense, sprinting in transition, and refusing to give Las Vegas anything easy. Every Fever player bought into the fight, and it showed. Now, the series shifting back to Indianapolis for Game 3, the stakes couldn't be higher. Gainbridge Fieldhouse is primed to erupt, a fan base that has been starving for postseason glory ready to lift their team. The defending champions, once confident and composed, now face the reality that their dominance is under siege. They are no longer the hunters. They are being hunted. And the Fever, young as they are, have no fear. For Indiana, this moment is about more than just a playoff run. It's about legitimacy. It's about silencing the critics who claimed they couldn't win without Clark, the analysts who dismissed them as too inexperienced, and the trolls who insisted they didn't belong on the same floor as Las Vegas. Game 2 was proof that this team is deeper than one superstar, that their culture is built on resilience, and that when the lights burn brightest, they rise. Boston put it best in her post-game comments. She didn't talk about the fouls, the officiating, or the noise. She talked about trust, about belief, about looking her teammates in the eyes and knowing they were ready. That's what fueled them. That's what carried them through. And that's what they'll need again in Game 3. Make no mistake, the Aces are still dangerous. They have experience, championship pedigree, and a star in A'ja Wilson who can dominate any given night. But they also look rattled. They've been pushed, bruised, and forced into uncomfortable positions by a team that was supposed to roll over. If the Fever can harness their momentum, feed off their home crowd, and keep their composure under the whistle, this series could tilt in their favor in a way nobody expected as Game 3 approaches. One question lingers. Are the Fever just a feel-good underdog story? Or are they a legitimate threat to dethrone the champions? The answer lies not in headlines, narratives, or the officials' whistles. It lies in the toughness of Lexie Hull, the leadership of Odyssey Sims, the dominance of Kelsey Mitchell, and the unshakable presence of Aaliyah Boston. It lies in a team that refuses to quit, no matter the odds. So when the ball tips in Indianapolis, remember this: the defending champions no longer control the narrative. The Indiana Fever do, and they've made it clear they aren't just here to survive. They're here to win.